Good day, folks, and welcome to another edition of Lumberjack Logic Live. I'm your host, Neil Johnson. So excited to be with you and share the news with you, folks. I've got good news for you today. I've got multiple stories. We're going to hone in on the Mark Zuckerberg story. Trump has the ability to change things simply by having people in the room with him. It's really wild. I mean, he's got some major energy. I've got another clip here that's going to just make you howl with laughter. Okay. And we're also going to correct the record on a few things. So this can be a great show. Do me a favor, please smash that like button. Do chat in with where you're from. I saw people talking about they're cold in Texas at 28 degrees, or they're cold in Florida at 43. Folks, we get negative below zero, just the temperature, not the wind chill up here in northern Minnesota where I live. It's cold. I mean, we've had multiple days that have been between 10 and 20 below now overnight. So anyways, good to see y'all on, though. I see people from Arkansas. I see people from Kansas City, Missouri. That was actually my first flight ever. My first plane flight was to Kansas City, Missouri. I got to plug my computer in. I just noticed too. Give me just a second. Might have enough to get through the show, but it might not. And I don't want that there. All right. Okay. Really quickly, got to mention my sponsor. I was just talking with him actually this morning. Mike Lindell, MyPillow, mypillow.com. Use promo code Lumberjack for big savings, folks. Get yourself some of those travel pillows. I'm telling you, I don't leave home without them. So go get yourself some of those. And then also get yourself a down comforter. If you're cold, nothing is like down. You don't want down to sleep on. You want down above you. It is the greatest insulating product known to man. All right, let's get into the news. First, before I get into Mark Zuckerberg, I just want to set the record straight on something. January 6th. So Merrick Garland has been out there talking about just yesterday. He repeated this again, 5 police officers who died. Folks, zero police officers died at January 6th. Brian Sicknick had a stroke days later. Was it the next day? I don't know. It was not related to anything J6. He had a stroke. Okay. And then they try to include 4 suicides in that picture. Now, the question is, did they commit suicide or were they suicided? I don't know. I don't know all that. But I know that this government is spinning yarn when it runs around telling us consistently that 5 police officers, actually 4 people did die at the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. I did a tweet the other day. I talked about 2 of them. Somebody posted this. So let's just set the record straight here. 4 people did die. 4 peaceful protesters, 0 police. 2 men were killed by police grenades. That's those flashbangs. Benjamin Phillips, okay, at 105. Kevin Greason, I'm sorry. So Benjamin Phillips and Kevin Greason both died from those concussive grenades. Trump's speech did not end until 1:15. Protesters did not enter the Capitol building until 2:10. 2 women were killed by police. That's Ashley Babbitt, who many of you are familiar with that, but also Roseanne Boylan. And you guys remember I had Jake Lang on the show, and Jake Lang was actually protecting her, covering her body because she was being beat by the police, and she was hardly a threat. Roseanne Boylan, I mean, if you haven't seen, I'll just say she was overweight, she was out of shape, she was not a threat to cops, and instead they beat her, and she's now dead. So anyways, I just wanted to set that record straight, because it's heavy stuff, and the way that the government's constantly spinning this garbage, I'm just so tired of it all. The Biden Justice Department. So speaking of garbage, it is time to take out the garbage. And yesterday we did see President Trump get certified in his election victory. And I'm so looking forward to January 20th. I am so looking forward to the executive orders and the pardons and everything that needs to take place. All right. So we set the record straight on a couple things. Now, I want to get into Mark Zuckerberg, but actually, as people are continuing to join, again, please go check out my sponsor, MyPillow, mypillow.com. Use promo code Lumberjack there. Support Mike Lindell and all that he's doing, okay? Actually, I don't know if the free shipping is still on right now because that might have expired with the Christmas sale. But I want to show you this video out of Canada. So if you didn't know, Donald Trump Jr. actually right now is up in Greenland, folks. Have you guys heard about Greenland? It's kind of wild because there's videos of people from Greenland, and they are now wanting to join the US. Donald Trump has talked about it. He's also talked about, of course, making Canada the 51st state. So this is a video of Elizabeth May. If you don't know who she is the leader of the Green Party in Canada. Okay. She is drunk half the time. She's like Kamala, I guess, but she's even crazier. And so Donald Trump has talked about this idea of Canada becoming the 51st state, and some Canadians are excited about this. Listen to this. This is like an unhinged rant. I could show you crazy rants of this lady, but watch this one. This is dealing with that issue.
Hey, Donald, have we got a deal for you? You think we want to be the 51st state? Nah, but maybe California would like to be the 11th province. How about it? California, Oregon, Washington? You've got geography in common with us. And not only that, we've already got a carbon trading system between California and Quebec. We've got some strong alliances.
A carbon trading system. Folks, this is so wild watching this lady. I mean, Trump just breaks these people. He is so good at this. I mean, he has the ability to bring them right out of the closet.
On our west coast from British Columbia, there's been a lot of academic papers on the idea of Cascadia. So California, Governor Newsom, and Washington State, Jay Inslee, and newly elected Governor of Oregon, Tina Kotek. How about it? Want to put a referendum to your citizens? Because this is what you deal. Have we got a deal for you? This is what you get. Free health care. Universal free health care. No.
How many of you guys want that Canadian health care where you can't even get your operations? How many of you want that stuff? Universal free? What does that mean, free? Because nothing's free.
No more one-year-olds who suddenly fall off the Medicaid list and their parents are in the news because they're trying to do a GoFundMe so they can get their daughter to a doctor. Universal free health care. And guess what? Those gun laws that your Congress is too afraid to pass because of the national gun lobby, we already got our strict gun laws.
Yeah, they've already got their strict gun laws. How many of you want strict gun laws? Do you know that in Canada right now, people have hunting rifles, family hunting rifles, because do you know that there are actually semi-automatic is not fully automatic? Some people still don't understand this. It means each time you pull the trigger, it fires. Doesn't mean you pull the trigger and then it just keeps on firing. So for the uneducated out there in the world, that's what that means. And I used to hunt with a 30-06 semi-auto. It was a Browning rifle. It was a Winchester. I actually didn't like it too much. It wasn't as accurate as I wanted a rifle to be. But anyways, I used to hunt with that. And many people do. And they're just common rifles. I actually prefer a bolt in some instances, although I really like the AR platform, and that makes a great hunting rifle. So anyways, all that aside, she's a nut job. But now let's get into Mark Zuckerberg, and then I've got a really good clip after this. But okay, so first off, I want to explain something about Mark Zuckerberg. You're going to watch this video. He's going to tell you that he's turned over a new leaf. And some of his ideas and what he is proposing, okay, yes, I'm trying to figure out how to present this correctly because I don't trust him. You guys do remember he was the guy who had his CTCL, Center for Technology and Civic Life. This is where in Green Bay, Wisconsin, Michael Spitzer Rubenstein had 4 of the 5 keys to the ballroom. Okay, he invested $450 million in drop boxes and facilitating the fraud of 2020. Okay, that's Mark Zuckerberg. So I'm not giving him a pass on all that. But what I want you to watch is, remember, he went down to Mar-a-Lago and then gave $1 million to Trump's inauguration fund. And now he's making statements like this. And I will say this much. I went through all of the, you guys know this. We followed the Missouri v. Biden case and went through the court documents on that. And the government was full on threatening the full weight of the federal government to be used against Facebook had they not complied in censored content. That related to the jab, it related to elections, it related to a lot of things. They were full on censorship mode, and they were attacking Facebook and actually even cussing at them, telling them how all these things were going to be going bad. So now this is where he's at. Okay, so I want to preface that because I'm not giving this guy a free pass, but I want you to listen to all these changes he is now. Facebook is the biggest social media platform out there. It's not even close, folks. Across the world, it's the biggest social media platform. So I don't like it. I don't use it much, but this is good if this happens. All right.
Hey everyone, I want to talk about something important today because it's time to get back to our roots around free expression on Facebook and Instagram. I started building social media.
Okay, just real quickly, I had to ask this question. I want to see in the chat as this video is playing. How many of you have been censored on Facebook? Because I have. I mean, I would imagine most of you have too, but I'm curious. How many of you have been socialed on Facebook?
To give people a voice. I gave a speech at Georgetown 5 years ago about the importance of protecting free expression, and I still believe this today.
Okay, that is hilarious to me. He gave a speech about supporting free expression 5 years ago, before 2020. Anyhow.
But a lot has happened over the last several years. There's been widespread debate about potential harms from online content. Governments and legacy media have pushed to censor more and more. A lot of this is clearly political, but there's also a lot of legitimately bad stuff out there. Drugs, terrorism, child exploitation.
What is the number one platform for child exploitation, folks? This is trivia question for you. Curious who knows in the comments. The number one platform for child exploitation.
These are things that we take very seriously, and I want to make sure that we handle responsibly. So we built a lot of complex systems to moderate content. But the problem with complex systems is they make mistakes. Even if they accidentally censor just 1% of posts, that's millions of people. And we've reached a point where it's just too many mistakes and too much censorship. The recent elections also feel like a cultural tipping point towards once again prioritizing speech. So we're going to get back to our roots and focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our policies, and restoring free expression on our platforms. More specifically, here's what we're going to do. First, we're going to get rid of fact checkers and replace them with community notes, similar to X.
Okay, this is really fascinating. So Elon Musk put in this community notes, which is the greatest tool, folks. No matter whether you like X or Elon or whatever, I'm just telling you, community notes is the greatest tool I've ever seen. In fact, just yesterday, my Senator Amy Klobuchar got called out on the J6 narrative where she started talking about 5 police officers dying and all this kind of stuff. And all of that was community noted. And everybody could see right below the post what the actual facts were, not some stupid fact-checking organization. And now he's doing that?
Starting in the US. After Trump first got elected in 2016, the legacy media wrote nonstop about how misinformation was a threat to democracy. We tried in good faith to address those concerns without becoming the arbiters of truth. But the fact checkers have just been too politically biased and have destroyed more trust than they've created, especially in the US. So over the next couple of months, we're going to phase in a more comprehensive community notes system. Second, we're going to simplify our content policies and get rid of a bunch of restrictions on topics like immigration and gender that are just out of touch with mainstream discourse.
Okay, what's really wild, folks, that one line, you should see the libs freaking out over this when he talks about, addressing the issues that are out of touch with mainstream discourse in regards to censoring gender and stuff. Man, the left is freaking out over this. So that's a good thing.
What started as a movement to be more inclusive has increasingly been used to shut down opinions and shut out people with different ideas, and it's gone too far. So I want to make sure that people can share their beliefs and experiences on our platforms. Third, we're changing how we enforce our policies to reduce the mistakes that account for the vast majority of censorship on our platforms. We used to have filters that scanned for any policy violation. Now we're going to focus those filters on tackling illegal and high severity violations. And for lower severity violations, we're going to rely on someone reporting an issue before we take action. The problem is that the filters make mistakes, and they take down a lot of content that they shouldn't. So by dialing them back, we're going to dramatically reduce the amount of censorship on our platforms.
Okay, something really funny about this, people. This whole thing with the filters that were in place, this is one of the ways that Joe Biden actually got censored on Instagram. And this was all outed during the Missouri v. Biden case in the court documents. So they had these big filters, and it was all about reducing content about the jab. Well, because the Biden White House was always talking about the jab, obviously in a different light, they got censored themselves. It was one of the best and funniest things that you got to read in the discovery during the Missouri v. Biden case. So anyways, I think it's kind of neat, but back to this.
We're also going to tune our content filters to require much higher confidence before taking down content. The reality is that this is a trade-off. It means we're going to catch less bad stuff, but we'll also reduce the number of innocent people's posts and accounts that we accidentally take down. Fourth, we're bringing back civic content. For a while, the community asked to see less politics because it was making people stressed, so we stopped recommending these posts. But it feels like we're in a new era now, and we're starting to get feedback that people want to see this content
Straight up, we're in a new era, baby.
again. So we're going to start phasing this back into Facebook, Instagram, and Threads while working to keep the communities friendly and positive. Fifth, we're going to move our trust and safety and content moderation teams out of California, and our US-based content review is going to be based in Texas. As we work to promote free expression, I think...
Is this Austin, Texas, or Texas, Texas? That's the question at this point.
...that will help us build trust to do this work in places where there is less concern about the bias of our teams. Finally, we're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments around the world that are going after American companies and pushing to censor more.
Okay, folks, did you just catch that? We're going to work with President Trump to push back on governments across the globe who wish to censor. Now, if you don't know what's going on in England right now with their prime minister, he is in a big battle on X with Elon Musk, and it's getting outed that there were 250,000 young girls gang raped over in England in Steimer, whatever his name is, covered that up. Okay, because he was actually involved in, I can't remember the organization. And now, of course, he's the prime minister. And he is so upset. And they are talking about going after Americans for their social media posts and having us extradited, the police commissioner of the UK. I'm not kidding. They've saying this stuff. Isn't that whatever, man? There's a reason we kicked the Brits out of here, I guess.
The US has the strongest constitutional protections for free expression in the world. Europe has an ever-increasing number of laws institutionalizing censorship and making it difficult to build anything innovative there. Latin American countries have secret courts that can order companies to quietly take things down. China has censored our apps from even working in the country. The only way that we can push back on this global trend is with the support of the US government. And that's why it's been so difficult over the past 4 years when even the US government has pushed for censorship.
Okay, this is mind-numbing to me because, again, this is the guy who spent $450 million to facilitate the fraud of 2020. And I think he's having a bit of a come-to-Jesus moment or a come-to-Trump moment after he went to Mar-a-Lago. And I want you to think about this because he's talking about the only way we can push back on this censorship across the globe is with the help of the U.S. government. So they're going to work with Trump. Because I think what's really taking place right now, folks, remember, the last thing that they care about, the only thing that they truly care about is your money. And if they can't have expression and if everybody's getting banned, they're not going to have users, which means they won't make their money. Is this making sense to you? I just want you guys to, again, the money is what they care about. Do you understand that? I just want to see in the chat if you guys are getting what I'm saying. So the money is what they care about. So Mark Zuckerberg realizes at this point, he made a big error, okay? He made a huge error. Now, he's also potentially criminally liable for the theft that occurred, the fraud that occurred, okay? And so now he's trying to cover his butt. But again, the money, they realize they can't keep making the money if nobody can post anything. All right, back to this.
By going after us and other American companies, it has emboldened other governments to go even further. But now we have the opportunity to restore free expression, and I am excited to take it. It'll take time to get this right, and these are complex systems. They're never going to be perfect. There's also a lot of illegal stuff that we still need to work very hard to remove. But the bottom line is that after years of having our content moderation work focus primarily on removing content, it is time to focus on reducing mistakes, simplifying our systems, and getting back to our roots about giving people voice. I'm looking forward to this next chapter. Stay good out there, and more to come soon.
Stay good out there, folks. Stay good. Stay good. I can't with this stuff. Anyways, so here's the thing. I mean, again, I'm not like, wow, I just think Facebook's just a great platform. I really trust them again. I'm probably still not going to be using it much. Sadly, it's where classifieds are if you want to buy a used vehicle now. I wish more people would post on Craigslist. If you're selling a car, post it on Craigslist. If you're selling anything, post it on Craigslist. I actually like Craigslist. Their search functions are much better. But all that being said, it's interesting because I think that these social media companies are beginning to realize that they made a deal with the devil. And although their political beliefs might align more with the Democrat Party, it was going way overboard. And they're realizing that they're getting censored in such a way, and the platforms are being asked to censor in such a way that it is hurting their business model. And so that's going to then take away their money and their market dominance and so on. And I really think that's what's taking place here. And I think Donald Trump had a clear conversation with him about that at Mar-a-Lago. And now Mark Zuckerberg's instituting these changes. So I find it all very fascinating. All right. Another thing I want to cover, Scott Jennings was on CNN, and I want you to just listen to this clip because I think he makes some really great points here.
The Trump tax cuts, obviously Democrats are going to fight that tooth and nail. It's not just something that exploded the debt. It's also something that is really symbolic for Democrats of giving all the benefits to extremely wealthy people while the rest of us.
See, so now watch Jennings shake his head. And I want to, again, another question for the chat. How many of you out there benefited from the Trump tax cuts? I mean, because my audience, I'm sure, isn't like billionaires who were benefiting from the Trump tax cuts. I benefited greatly from the Trump tax cuts. I'm curious if you guys did, and it wasn't because I was a billionaire, millionaire kind of guy. It was just the tax cuts benefited everybody.
Suffer or don't get anything.
Jessica, if I may, just one community note for the record. The Trump tax cuts cut taxes for virtually everyone who pays taxes. It wasn't just a tax cut for wealthy. Everyone who pays taxes got a tax cut. Extending these tax cuts would be tax cuts for everyone who pays taxes. And so this was like one of the biggest lies told about the bill when it passed in the first place. But there is verified, absolute verified reporting from numerous reputable news sources that virtually everyone who pays taxes got a tax cut. That's what Republicans stand for.
Go ahead, Christy. Did you want to jump in there?
The wealthy got by far the biggest share of that, Scott, as you know.
No, everybody who pays taxes got a tax cut.
Do you know what's wild about that statement? And I wonder if she's related to that Ann Seltzer, that pollster. That'd be interesting. I'm curious, but I bet she is. She looks like she could be Ann Seltzer's daughter, which would make sense. That's the one that had the poll that was off 70 points in Iowa. But of course, the wealthy would get a bigger tax cut if tax cuts were given because the wealthy were paying more taxes, right? I mean, if you made $500,000 a year or you made $100,000 a year, who would get the biggest dollar break on taxes? This is so simple. This is freaking grade school math. Anyways, it blows my mind, but I don't know. I'm curious. We'll see what happens with Facebook moving forward. We'll see what happens with I have to grab something here. We'll see what happens with the administration going forward and social media in general. It's going to be interesting. I'm really curious to see if Greenland becomes part of the U.S. I'm really curious to see how Trump plays this whole thing out in Canada. It's wild to me. Watching all this is crazy. Hey, I want to mention this again. I've mentioned this before, but this is called Hide a Hole. Okay. Flip this over. It says, don't patch it, fix it. So it is absolutely everything you need, even the screwdriver. It's got the repair paste. It's got the cutout thing right here. So you literally, it has everything you need, the backboard. So if you get like a hole in your wall, look at this, all you do, then you use this cutter, which goes this way, and then you cut out this hole, and then you put in the patch, and then you paste over it. And it is the best way to patch a drywall drywall damage. And so this is available at mystore.com. You can use promo code Lumberjack and get a deal on it. That's hide a hole. Anybody can use this thing. It is so great. And just a very simple kit with everything you need. So you don't have to always be keeping stuff around, buckets of drywall paste and stuff. It's right there in the tube. It is so handy for when, so get yourself prepared. And that's a small business here in America that you can support, and support Mike Lindell and support this show. And that's on mystore.com. Use promo code Lumberjack to get that. Anyways, of course, mypillow.com. I love Mike Lindell's coffee, and I will get Mike on the show here again in the very near future. He is actually speaking at a prison today. He does some prison ministries, sharing his story of overcoming drugs and addiction and so on. So I love Mike, just a great guy. But anyhow, keep fighting the good fight, folks. It's great to see these things occurring. Great to see Mark Zuckerberg caving, Elizabeth May freaking out, and Scott Jennings reporting the truth on CNN. It's good. It's just great times, folks. It really is. Anyways, love y'all. Peace out. See you on the next episode, and keep fighting that good fight.